The trial of the nanny who killed two toddlers, stabbed them to death 6 years ago. Trial continues. The nanny is claiming a defense of insanity. Essentially, the devil made me do it. I want to bring in clinical psychologist Dr. Jeffrey Gardier. Jeff, thanks for being back on the show. Always good to see you.
Of course.
So, Doc, let me ask you, this devil made me do it. Is this a true plea for insanity? Do you think there's a chance that this nanny could get off?
Pleading the insanity defense has been very difficult for people to be successful with. Over the past perhaps 10, 15 years, there have been perhaps 8 cases where people have been found not guilty by reason of insanity. So it's going to be a really, really, really tough road for her to get that.
Doc, even if that were to happen, you're talking about somebody who brutally, savagely stabbed 2 little children, a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old. I mean, it's a horrific crime to wrap your head around.
Sure.
Tell me either way, she's not going to be back out on the street.
Yeah, my heart goes out to the parents. Whatever way this turns out with the trial, my heart goes out to those parents and, of course, the poor children. What we find is even if someone is found not guilty by reason of insanity, they end up doing a multitude of years in a forensic psychiatric prison. So they end up sometimes doing more time than if they had pleaded guilty to homicide or second-degree murder.
Interesting. Let me just ask you this. A lot of people say you'd have to be completely and utterly insane to even do this. I'm someone who believes in good and evil, and some people just act in an evil way and commit horrific crimes. What do you say?
I would think that anyone who commits a crime like this has a serious mental defect, serious psychiatric issue. But here's the key. Even if you have a psychiatric issue, in New York State, you must prove that with that psychiatric issue, you did not know right from wrong. And there are people who are schizophrenic who happen to know the difference between right and wrong.
All right, doctor, always good to talk to you. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Let's bring in the A-plus panel. Again, Randy and Bob. All right, Bob, let's start with you as a prosecutor. You can actually see both sides of this. From a prosecutor standpoint, more difficult because she's claiming she was nuts?
No, it is an extremely difficult standard. As was indicated, you have to show, first of all, a bona fide mental disease or defect that the person was suffering at the time, and that it debilitated them to the point that they didn't know the difference between right or wrong. It is extremely difficult to prove because what prosecutors will do is look at conduct just before and after to see if there's goal-directed behavior, and her slitting her wrists and trying to kill
stabbing herself in the neck
shows that she knew the difference between right and wrong, and that's the end of the defense.
Randy, what do you think? I mean, is this an issue really that goes back that we are not doing a good enough job recognizing people that are unstable and potentially off well before they get to an act like this?
We got to think about why we actually even punish people. Is it retribution, rehabilitation, incapacitation? And what are we trying to get out of this? Do we
Let me
just
ask
want
you
to
that, though, Randy, because you're a bit of an expert on this. Help, not handcuffs. I get that. I interpret some of that as a little soft on crime, but I do understand your perspective. With this case, should she ever see the light of day?
Where does the problem originate? Like you said, was there a problem beforehand that could have been addressed? And we have a horrible history of throwing our mentally ill, into the street, not housing them, not giving them the services they want. I'm not making the case that she should not be incapacitated for a significant period of time.
All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.